Alright, we'll go ahead and call this meeting to order. First, we're going to start with our public hearing on budget and truth and taxation. So, Anita.
Yes. Thank you. Okay, good evening, Dr. Sprout, board members, and guests. This afternoon I'll be presenting information on our budget and truth and taxation for the new fiscal year. Our fiscal 2021 budget was proposed at our regular meeting on June 11th. Our proposed budget and public hearing were posted on ADE's website and are accessible via a link on our district website. We are required to hold a public .74% per pupil for inflation. This is an additional increase of $73.12 per pupil for a total of $676,000. Another factor in our rise in revenue is the governor's teachers' compensation increase. This is the third and final year of the governor's budget plan, also known as 20 by 2020. This amounts to $84.12 per pupil, or in total, close to $778,000. The $778,000 additional M&O revenue for teacher compensation results in the first year teacher being able to earn almost $53,000 if they earn all of their performance pay. Next, the Classroom Site Fund, also known as Prop 301. This will be decreasing by $9 per student for a total loss of $37,000. The total loss would have been greater, however, part of the governor's 20 by 2020 plan included a portion of revenues generated in the Classroom Site Fund that became available after the bonds from the initial Prop 301 authorization were paid off. As you can see in this graph, revenues dropped dramatically back in fiscal year 11 and 12. The good news is the per student amount had been on an upward trend and reached a record high of $434 per student last year, 2019-20. Unfortunately, the recession caused by the pandemic has caused the per pupil to drop in 2021. The greater concern is actually for the following fiscal year. The transportation mileage rate increased by 5 cents a mile. This resulted in an increase of around $42,000. Our overrides are calculated on the base level amount. Since this amount has increased, our overrides do as well. Our maintenance and operations override will increase this year by over $300,000, and our capital override, also known as district additional assistance, will increase almost by $200,000. Our capital override was renewed in November 2018. For years, school districts have had their capital funds reduced by the state to help balance the state budget. Levies' cumulative total reduction since 2010 is over $18 million. However, the state has begun restoring the capital formula the last few years. The $3 million is the amount of funding that the formula provides. We actually are only receiving $2.6 million. This takes the reduction down to $500,000 of our calculated funding amount. This cut is about $72.12 per student. Their original state budget proposed to eliminate the reduction entirely for this new fiscal year. However, this was not done due to the projected loss of revenues. The Truth in Taxation notice was published in the Arizona Republic on June 29th. The tax levy amount for adjacent ways is $300,000. The Truth in Taxation notice is very confusing to taxpayers. It indicates a tax rate increase of $11.93 for a home valued at $100,000. However, this is actually a decrease of the prior year's overall tax of about $29.59 per $100,000. This discrepancy results from a statutory formula that assumes there was no tax in the previous year. Compared to last year, our levy decreased by $700,000. The purpose of the $300,000 in adjacent ways levy is to fund the off-site elements of school projects. This could include streets, sewers, curbs, sidewalks, fire lanes, bus lanes, and utility lines. The projected primary tax rate decreased slightly due to property value increases and the reduction in adjacent ways funding. The primary assessed valuations increased by 7.3%. The change in our secondary tax rate is tied to our voter-approved bonds and overrides. This change is due to the overrides increase, which correlates with the tax rate. And this concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Are there any questions? Any additional comments?
Other than the truth in taxation. Excellent job, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Yes, and just a question about periods and commas. It looked like periods instead of commas, but I'm assuming that it's supposed to be commas. Because the numbers wouldn't make sense if they were periods.
Okay. Hard to tell. Yeah, it's hard to tell. Okay. Any additional comments? All right, we'll go ahead and do, thank you, Nina, for that presentation. We appreciate it. We'll go ahead and do roll call. Elodia?
Mrs. Anderson,
Present?
Mrs. Farragut,
Here.
Mrs. Sanborn,
Present?
Mr. Sedno, Mrs. Ward.
Present. All right, we'll go ahead and do the Pledge of Allegiance with a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay, it is recommended the governing board approve the agenda as submitted. Do I have a motion?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? It is recommended the governing board approve the minutes of the June 11th, 2020 regular meeting and June 23rd special meeting. So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving on to the superintendent's report. Dr. Sprout.
Thank you, President Anderson. I have 4 updates for the governing board. First of all, our theme for 2020. This year, our theme will be Setting the Trajectory. and it is based on the idea that each and every interaction we have with others gives us an opportunity to positively impact that person's life, whether it be our students, colleagues, friends or family, or people we do not even know. So setting the trajectory is our theme, and we are ordering shirts for our staff to begin the year, their own Setting the Trajectory shirts. Number 2, the Arizona Association of School Business Officials have issued an award to our district, and they've awarded Levine with the Pinnacle Award for the land swap deal that was spearheaded by Kevin Haggerty, resulting in EFGA's property being acquired. This project took several years to coordinate with a number of different parties. It essentially, and this is reducing a very complex process to one sentence, allowed us to dispose of an unusable parcel of land that we owned, with proceeds going towards the new land purchase. We are one of 4 recipients of this year's award. And thank you once again, Kevin, for all of your work on that. And that is a very well-deserved award for Mr. Haggerty. Number 3, USDA waivers. We talked about this at the last governing board meeting. The USDA has issued 4 waivers, and the most important aspect of this for you as a governing board is to know, and for our parents out there, that one of the waivers will allow us to continue to serve and to our students, serve meals to our students who are participating in online learning. That being our pickup curbside meals beginning this school year. So we will be able to continue to serve meals to our students that are going to school online. And number 4, our final update, is that as of this moment, whatever time it is, right now, on this day, we are fully staffed with teachers for the beginning of the school year. So thank you to our administrators, our HR team for their diligence in hiring. Also, with your support, it makes it very easy for us to recruit. We have an outstanding district to work for. We have great benefits, great facilities, all of those things come together to make it really easy to advertise or to recruit for our school district. So thank you very much, Governing Board. And that concludes my updates.
Fantastic, that's amazing that we have full staff ready to go, that's great. It's very exciting. All right, so electioneering rules. Anita.
Okay, good evening again. I will be discussing the rules of electioneering, the do's and the do-nots, since our M&O override is approaching. I will start with what we cannot do. We cannot use any school resources to affect the outcome of an election. School boards cannot make statements in favor or in opposition to any ballot measures. Also, school employees cannot participate in any way while on duty, nor can they provide campaigning materials to students. District funds cannot be used for any promotional expenditures after an election is called. One exception would be that districts could continue sharing any routine communications. A violation could result in a fine of $5,000. Now the dues, or what is not prohibited, which includes the following. Individuals can use their First Amendment rights. Employees can receive campaign materials in mailboxes or emails. However, they cannot be forwarded. Since the district routinely communicates voting reminders on their marquees, they are allowed to continue during the election. And finally, any PTO or PAC, Political Action Committee, groups can rent any of our district facilities. The district is allowed to answer factual questions regarding the election. Also, employees can make political donations as well as campaign at an event in which the public at large is welcome. Finally, districts are allowed to provide publicity pamphlets in their offices. And that concludes the do's and don'ts. Do you guys have any questions?
Any questions or comments?
Nothing from me, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're gonna move on to the consent agenda. I have a motion to approve the consent agenda items as submitted.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, motion carries. And then I think I wanna make one reference note about that, with, Mrs. Kennedy coming back on board to support one of our school sites as vice principal. So we appreciate her willingness to, be a part of the district, in that action. All right, the 2021 budget adoption, it is recommended the governing board approve and adopt the 2021 expenditure budget as presented.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
It is recommended the governing board ratify the First Amendment to the easement of SRP of the Astoria Foothills Global Academy construction project.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All right, all those in favor? Aye. Motion carried. It is recommended the governing board approve the recommendation of shortlist rank for architect services for the Desert Meadows Pre-K project.
So moved. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. It is recommended the governing board approve the board statement for the maintenance operations override election as presented.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, so all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. All right, the governing board approved modifications to the district nurse evaluation instrument to be implemented in the 2021 school year.
So moved. Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Motion carries. All right, and a regular meeting of the governing board will be held on August 6th, 2020. All meetings will be held at 5:30 p.m. In the Living Education Center. Are there any comments from the board?
I'm turning on the Davis now, that's my comment.
We appreciate your safe driving on your way here. We hear all of your blinkers.
I just really appreciate all the hard work you guys have done, everything. Nothing has slowed down and we just keep adding and adding and adding, so thank you. I liked the tour yesterday, it was wonderful. So excited about this school.
Very good. I didn't get the opportunity to go over and see it newly finished. I have seen the outside and it really does look fantastic. So I'm excited to see the new part or the inside here soon. Again, I do want to just say thank you to everybody's hard work. It is lots of unknowns, and but we just have to keep pedaling through it. So I just appreciate your hard work and your thought process through that. All right. We do a motion of adjournment before moving into our study sessions. Do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So moved. Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Great. All right, and now we will move into our study session with an update on the reopening of schools. Start with Dr. Sprout.
Yeah, we will. Thank you, President Anderson.
Thank you.
As we announced to the Levine community earlier this week, we will be opening all of our schools using distance or online learning on August 3rd. Tonight, we will be providing the most up-to-date information on what online instruction will look like. As you know, we had to quickly put together and execute a plan for online learning during the fourth quarter last year. It was not an ideal situation. What you will hear tonight is the result of hundreds, actually thousands of hours of work resulting in a rigorous plan for providing online instruction to students during the 2021 school year as we get it started in preschool through 8th grade. So before Kathy Davis, our Assistant Superintendent of Academic Services, begins her presentation, I would like to say thanks to her for her leadership, as well as a huge thanks to our entire academic services team and teachers who are working right now throughout this summer to prepare for August 3rd. Thanks also to our teachers who will be providing online instruction to students. We greatly appreciate the work they will be doing in the weeks ahead. And thanks to our parents, we appreciate your patience and support as we work through these challenging times, and we are excited to begin teaching your children again. So with that, we'll turn it over to Kathy.
All right, thank you, Dr. Sprout. Sorry, I'm adjusting to my face mask. Good evening, President Anderson, members of the board, Dr. Sprout, and guests. It is my honor tonight to give you an update of what we are planning for our online learning. As Dr. Sprout shared, it has been a very busy summer. So we've been planning, and every time we have a plan, we get a new executive order and we adjust our plans. But I feel pretty good about where we're at actually right now, and so I'm excited to share tonight with you what our plans are for online learning. So my goal tonight is really just to give you a little bit of an update of what the Learning Committee has been working on regarding learning. We actually started looking at what learning would look like both in person as well as online, knowing that we were going to have options for our families. And so we've been meeting weekly, doing collaboration. There are about 35 people probably on the committee, many of whom are teachers, administrators, coaches, and we've been busy planning and creating. And so our thought was originally that we were going to be opening August 3rd with both in person and online, and so we were planning for both. But as you know, we have a delay in our in-person, and so the good news in that is that we have a great online program available, and we are able to push it out to all of our students starting August 3rd. So one of the things we looked at when this pandemic started last spring, as Dr. Sprout shared, we didn't have a lot of time to plan for full online instruction. It was a little bit of a surprise. In fact, I was in Costa Rica when everybody had their panic meeting on Sunday, so I've paid the price for that this summer. I've more than made up for my 2 days I missed of that time. But we knew that we were going to have families that did not feel comfortable or didn't want to choose to send their students back into the classroom even as soon as we were able to open. And so early in the summer, we did take the initiative to apply to be an Arizona online instruction provider. That application is still pending with the State Board of Ed, and that is something that we intend to follow through on and have in the future. But in the meantime, the state has responded to the pandemic and the request by school districts to be able to offer distance learning. And so they also now have a distance learning plan that any school district can submit, and that qualifies them also to do online learning for the whole school year if needed. So what this does for us really, we're covered either way to do online learning throughout the entire school year and then even beyond. But what we've done really is taken the opportunity over these last months to reflect on what happened last spring and how we can make it better. So as we were researching ways to provide an online platform, we were really looking for a consistent way to design our lessons to make sure it was quality for our students. So this is a model that we're using as we create our lesson plans. So the first is just to think about what resources we want to use. So we know we want to use our content, our curriculum, and we want to make sure that as we're engaging students in lesson that there's a balance between text and multimedia, that there's opportunities for students to do critical thinking, that there's opportunities for students to be in real-time engagement. It was pretty late in the year, last spring, when we were able to implement Google Meet and have kids actually be able to talk to each other. But we have mastered that tool over the summer, at least on the admin level. And so we're very versed in how to use that now, and we intend to be able to have a much more robust opportunity for students to talk to each other. We know we want our lessons to include ways for students to not only engage with each other, but with the teacher, and for the teacher to do real-time teaching and then be able to check for understanding, just like they would in the classroom. And then thinking about the technology that we're going to use, the fortunate thing for Levine is that we are a technology-rich district, and our students and our staff are very accustomed to using Google Classroom and to using Nearpod and to using our Chromebooks. So we will make great use of those August 3rd. So as far as a format for what a lesson would look like for a content area, it will be structured so that students have a scheduled 3 to 4 periods a day depending on their grade level. So like a middle school student will have math, ELA, science, and social studies. There will be a schedule that includes a live lesson where we're using Nearpod through Google Classroom. I'll talk a little bit more about that in a moment. But that allows teachers to create an interactive lesson where they can teach and do direct instruction as well as guided practice and engage kids in the process. We want each lesson to also include an opportunity for students to do some independent practice, also some sort of quiz or a check for understanding, and a student reflection at every lesson. So each day, students will have a schedule to have these content areas. So if they were a 3rd grade student, they would have 3 a day. They would have math, science, or math, ELA, and science or social studies. Each lesson, although we are going to have a live interactive scheduled time, we know that doesn't meet the needs of every family. We do have, we learned last spring that we have a lot of nocturnal students that like to do their work at night, and working parents who are only available to assist their students in the evening. So by using Nearpod, all of those lessons will be recorded, and that way, if it works better for a family to do their lessons at 5 o'clock in the evening, they can. What they miss is the opportunity for the real-time Q&A. But the teachers will be available to answer their questions and give them feedback outside of that.
I have just a couple questions real quick.
Yeah.
Is this AOI distance learning or both?
This will be distance learning. So right now, the AOI hasn't been approved yet, but because the distance learning plan covers us, our plan will look the same either way. So we can operate under the distance learning plan all school year. So what our intention right now is to offer this online program, and students could stay in it for 1 quarter, as many have requested to do. And some may stay in it all year, as many have requested to do.
Yeah.
And then as the year progresses and we see where we go with COVID and the AOI getting formally approved, then we can look at, in the future, a different specific program for the full year kids that only always want online.
So in the beginning, AOI distance learning will be the same thing?
Yes.
Gotcha. And we're looking at 3 to 4 blocks, each at about 1 hour and 15 minutes.
No.
Oh.
We are looking at 3 to 4 blocks, but it would be up to those times. And so the 45 minutes could include, it would be an interactive Nearpod lesson, so a quiz could be built within there, or a way to check for understanding. There could be a pause of independent practice in there. It will vary by grade level and by the content of the lesson that day. But the Nearpod, the live instruction won't go more than 45 minutes. Our intention is to schedule them no closer than 90 minutes together, meaning it won't be back to back to back for a student. So they might have reading at 8:30 and math at 10 o'clock, but it doesn't mean reading goals until 10 o'clock, if that makes sense. And then sometimes the independent practice, it may be something that is a 3-day assignment, so they'll be given an assignment. These are kind of rough times for the not to exceed, if that makes sense.
Thank you.
So in addition, I mean, that's a focus of our content areas, but we know also that we do want to offer special area options for our students. We need to think about our special education students and the services they need. So as we open online for everyone, just like we did in the spring, we will be working to provide resource services for our students that qualify for that. We were intending to have developmental preschool and self-contained special ed in person. We felt like those class sizes are small and that their services could be best delivered in person. And that is still our hope to do that with most students when we're able to, but August 3rd will be online. So we're working on what does an appropriate online program look like for those classrooms. We are hoping that as we do transition to being able to have students come back into the classroom, if we do have some special education students who are choosing to still stay online, that we can offer some in-person support as needed. So that is something that we're going to try to schedule with them. Some therapies are just definitely better delivered in person. We'll also be providing English learner support. We have a new model for our SEI program for English learners, and they're supposed to get some targeted English language development time. So we will work to have that done through small groups virtually. We can use our ELIAs to do some of that, as well as our EL instructional coaches. And then social emotional support is also another ongoing thing. We did purchase some new curriculum called Second Step, and we will use our school counselors as well as our classroom teachers to make sure that we're embedding social emotional support throughout our instruction as well. So I'm assuming you may or may not be familiar with Nearpod. So I wanted to give you a little bit of an idea of what Nearpod looks like, because that is what the platform that most of our lessons will be pushed out through. So one of the benefits of using Nearpod when we do our live instruction is that it does have some interactive tools built within it. And so one of the things that our lessons will include is a poll to track attendance. This will be our system for tracking student attendance if they logged in and participated in the lesson. And even if that happened at 5 p.m., we can still count them as attending. We think we're going to go through midnight. I haven't worked all the details out of how that works yet, but I'm thinking about it. Yes?
Another quick question. So I see on here like the poll to track attendance through Nearpod, and I know for AOIs, we can report attendance still through what do we use here? Synergy, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you have to have the backup documentation to support that students have been logged in. Is Nearpod our only one? Is the Canvas that we're purchasing?
Oh, no, we'll use Synergy too.
You'll use what?
Synergy.
No, I know you use Synergy because you log the attendance in Synergy, but with the backup logs to show, we actually have to show students being logged in for the minimum minutes and whatever statute is, 15, 18,
Yeah.
whatever. So because you can't can the students log into Synergy for that?
Oh, no, the teachers will mark their presence. But remember, we're not operating on the AOI yet. We're doing the distance learning plan, which was 7 questions that were they're giving us a lot of flexibility this year.
Okay, I think we're still gonna have to show that logging of student time for AOI once it comes.
Okay, well, may I ask any questions?
Can somebody log in as somebody else? Especially if they do it like in the evening?
No, well, yes. If they do it it is gonna be on the honor system if it's offline at night. Siblings can do it and parents can do it, but I'll get to that in a minute, but we are gonna do some parent orientations and student orientations that talk about the purpose of instruction and learning and the deficits and the gaps that we all have and why we're here. But yes, the live instruction is best because it'll be through a live Google Meet and the teacher can see their little faces and so on. All right, so let me move on. Thank you for asking. So our subcommittee, through the teachers that are on the subcommittee, they've been putting in a lot of hours creating some Nearpod lessons. We know that when our teachers come back, they don't have a lot of time to be ready to provide online instruction. And we're really asking them to provide a pretty robust, structured education, a little more than what we asked them to do in the spring. And so the committee has been busy at work really preparing some lessons for them to get started. So for the first 2 to 3 weeks, they should have a lot of support to get started. While we do some ongoing training and help them build some more lessons. But Nearpod has a lot of opportunities to build student engagement, where right where you're in the lesson, the student can write on their Chromebook and it goes on the teacher can see it. So it's a little hard to explain without you being in a Nearpod, but essentially the students would log into the teacher's Google Classroom, and the teacher would launch the Nearpod and invite the students to join with a code. And our kids are actually pretty accustomed to doing this. This is something that we've used in our classrooms before COVID. So students will join the Nearpod. One of the benefits of it is that the teacher can control the pace of the lesson. So what's on the teacher, it's essentially like the teacher has a PowerPoint lesson that they're going to teach from, but that shows on all of the students' screens at their houses too. And so the teacher can talk to them and teach them, and they're in a live Google Meet, so the teacher can pause and ask the students a question. They can have some verbal dialogue. The teacher controls when he or she is ready to hit the next screen. And when they make that choice, all the kids' screens move too. So it's pretty neat. So the kids are kind of following along on their screen while the teacher is talking and teaching and asking questions. And then the other nice feature is there's interactive tools that are built in. So this is showing you an example of where students would write an answer right on their Chromebook, and the teacher can see all of those answers. So a teacher could say, okay, you fill in the blank here. They could do anything from fill in the blank to some matching to a poll to a little quiz. There's a collaborate board where students can kind of post comments and answers to each other. So that's really one of the main reasons why we thought using Nearpod through Google Classroom and Google Meet would be a good tool. And remember, this whole thing is being recorded and then will be shared later if a family needs to access it later. So that brings us to our Google Classroom. So some of the feedback that we got last spring was, it's hard to find things on Google Classroom. There's a lot of information in there and it gets posted in different places and different teachers do it different ways. And so that is one of the things that we would really like to streamline this year. So when a student opens their Chromebook, they will have a Google Classroom for each content area. So there will be one Google Classroom that says math. And when they open that math, all the announcements or updates will be in the stream of the Google Classroom. We won't be putting assignments in the stream, but what we will be doing is using the classwork page and having it be very organized and detailed to list their assignments. So every subject will have a date every day, and every day will have 4 things in it, and always consistent. This is our goal. Of course, we need to train our teachers, and then they need to do it. But we feel like it will be much clearer for our parents and our students on the user's end if everything is consistent. So when a student logs into their Google Math class and they go to their class work, they're going to pick the date, like this is an example of June 29th, and it's always going to be the live lesson, independent practice, some sort of quiz or little check, and a student reflection. So our goal is to have those 4 pieces in every lesson, every day, and dated and labeled exactly like this, so parents can always find it. That's our goal. So planning for our first days of school, we know that our kids have been out for a while, and a lot has been going on in the world, and so we'll have a soft start. When we start on August 3rd, we're not going to jump right in with ELA, math, and science on August 3rd. So our first goal is just to work on our virtual Meet the Teacher Day, which would be July 30th. And so a part of that day would be, we're planning a parent orientation, sort of to give parents this overview of what to expect. What does Google Classroom look like? What is the Nearpod lesson going to look like? What are the expectations? And those things that you were asking are, what's the benefit of doing the work for my child? So, we're here really to educate kids, and so we are going to need, this year more than ever, we are going to need the partnership of our parents to educate our children together. We're going to do our best, but they're really the first teacher there at the house too. So we will be doing a variety of things in the first few days, not only to give the parents an orientation, but we're also designing some student orientation. The first few days will include some digital citizenship, just sample walkthroughs. A lot of our kids are familiar with Nearpod, but we'll have new students too, or students that just didn't use it a lot. And so we'll do some sample walkthroughs and overviews of what to expect. We'll talk with our students about the do's and don'ts of Google Meet. We've learned over time, you'll see videos on Zoom meeting etiquette, when to mute yourself. And the nice thing is the teacher does have a lot of control in that through Google Meet, so we can mute the student if we need to. So those are some of the things we'll be doing at the beginning. Just another couple things I wanted to cover real quick, just assessments. In the distance learning plan, as well as the AOI, we will need to still do assessments online. And so our NWEA, which is the district assessment that we adopted last year, it is an online assessment, and so we still intend to give that. Again, we'll need the support of our parents to help kids take it authentically. This is not something that we give to take an academic grade. It's something that we give to assess where our gaps are and what skills we need to help kids learn. So we'll really work hard to get that message out. But kids will take that test online, and they'll take it in a smaller group online, live via a Google Meet, so that the teacher can see them taking the test, if that makes sense. MAP Fluency is the test that we give to just our kindergarten to third graders. That one we were scheduled to give it the third week of school. We have pushed that back to the fifth week because it scares me to give it the third week of school online. So it's possible that by August 31st, we'll have some kids back in the school building. We don't really know when that will be. But whether they're in the school building or at home online, we will give both of these assessments. That's our intention right now. In addition to that, we know we're going to have kids that, when we give these assessments and when we do our day-to-day instruction, we know that we're going to have kids all over the place. Some will have forgotten everything that they learned last year, and some will have been working on stuff all summer. And so we will still do some small group tutoring. We plan to do some of that during the school day, as well as give teachers the opportunity to do virtual tutoring after school, just like the tutoring that they do any year. And then we'll also have in-person support at the school site. I got a little direction today that it may be possible to have some in-person support and services even when we're closed, so I'm investigating that a little more. So our next steps, we've got plenty to do. We're going to continue creating these sample lessons that the teachers are building to assist teachers as they return. We are doing a lot of staff training. We have our instructional coaches actually returning to work on Monday, and so they have a full day of training scheduled on Monday, really to go over a lot of what the online learning platform will look like and how they can support the training of the teachers. We have our new teacher induction the next Monday after that, and a lot of that training also will focus on, we're going to make sure that our new teachers are competent in Google Classroom, how to use Google Meet, and how to use Nearpod for sure. And then all of our teachers report the week after that. And so we'll be doing some of this rollout and helping them. Again, a lot of them are familiar and have used this, so it's not starting from scratch, but just some of the refinements and getting buy-in to why it would be important to be consistent in our layout and the instructional design, and how to support kids who are struggling online, and how to engage kids who are reluctant, and how to contact families who are not participating, things like that. Yes. Yes, please.
Can you explain how we are going to deal with coaches and teacher induction and all teachers reporting for people who might be concerned about in-person?
Yeah, so we're offering everything both ways. I mean, right now, as we wait every day to see is there a new order today, but as of today, people do seem to be allowed to be in the building, and so we did invite our coaches in Monday, but instead of doing it here in our training room as usual, we actually are using Rogers Ranch gym, and we asked them to wear their face masks, and we'll have them all spread out across the gym. And we've asked our principals as staff comes back to do the same thing, to instead of having all of your staff at a staff meeting, that you would have some groups and some sessions. And new teacher induction will be the same way, virtual sessions. Does that answer? But it could change before July 20th. We could all have. So the other thing we're working on right now is preparing to distribute materials, and that will be a challenge. We do want to give all of our students a Chromebook as well as the district curriculum, at least the beginning. We ordered a brand new ELA adoption, so we're going to take out the first unit and send that home. And the first chapter in math and some flashcards and some just additional supplemental resources so that they have some things to have their hands on at home too as we're learning. And so our challenge will be getting 7,000 families to the school to pick those up the week of July 27th. We're also finalizing those plans for the virtual Meet the Teacher Night and our first days of school. And then really, one of our biggest next steps is just to continue to look at our staffing. Some of what Mr. Thomas and I have been meeting with each principal and just kind of looking at the parent survey responses. So, we thought August 3rd we were going to be online and in person, and we needed to have staff for both. So we've really been looking at, what were the teacher preferences for that? What were the parent preferences for that? And just trying to do a puzzle of who's going to be where and who's going to teach whom. So we continue to work on that in the background because that day will come, whether it's August 17th or later. And then we're really just continuing to communicate with our community. So this is a piece of it. Dr. Sprout has been sending out letters, but we know that our community is wondering what's happening too, as everybody is. So we will continue to communicate what our plans are and promote the importance of them attending the virtual Meet the Teacher Night and coming to get their supplies and participating. We do know that we will have some families that do not wish to do online. They didn't choose that. We gave them a commitment form and they picked in person. And so, we have to be aware that there may be some families who don't want to do online, or maybe they're not able to do online. And so we are working on a subset of some paper and pencil assignments that they can work on. But our intention is to promote and encourage everyone to participate online. We will be giving every student a device, and there are a lot of resources out there now for free or pretty low cost internet, so we're working to connect our families with those resources if that is what is the hindrance. We'll continue to have our help desk available, so once school is in session, not only for students but for parents as well, when they're having technical difficulties, there will be a help desk ticket that they can put in a request. And the social emotional support that we talked about is not only for our students, but it's really for our community. And so we do have some partnerships with Southwest Behavioral Health as well as our own school counselors, and it is our intent to make sure that we're educating the whole child and supporting the whole family. So we know that as we reopen and families are coming in, that we'll have a variety of needs and issues that they probably need support with. And then, of course, although we asked all of our parents for their commitment, we realized that every week things change and more news comes out, and so we understand and expect that we're probably going to have to confirm again, is that your commitment for real? So at some point here, we'll be asking our parents again, just to confirm once we get a date that tells us that we can reopen, then we'll confirm, okay, you said that you wanted in person, we're just making sure you still do. And so that will be a project as well. But just so you know, we did get a great response from our parents on the commitment survey. The ones that didn't respond, and we only gave them a short window. Our schools really worked hard to contact parents and call them. And so I just wanted to share. Remember, we asked them to choose from these 4 options, and one was the full, to be online all year. One was to be online for at least the first quarter, or until they felt it was safe to return. One was just to be back in school, daily on site. And then we offered Estrella Foothills as our new school that would be in person, but small classes, capped at no more than 18 per class. And so this is our response rate from that. So you can see that we had almost 1,000 parents, 969, who have told us that right now their preference is online all year. So that's a pretty high number. And then another 2,509 that said they want online at least the first quarter. So when you add those together, that's 3,478 families that indicated that they wanted online at least to start. So those 3,478 should be happy that we're online August 3rd. But we do have 2,616 that said they really wanted to come in person, so I'm sure they're looking forward to when our doors open. And then EFGA was 76, it's actually 96 today. So I double checked that, and we had some new enrollees that I missed in there. So we're up to a whopping 96 at Estrella Foothills. That is an opportunity for our community if they are looking for a beautiful school and a great program and a small classroom guaranteed. It's a great place to start. So we will be capping those classes, as you know, at no more than 18 students in a class, 2 per grade level, K-6. And so the total enrollment at that school will probably only be about 250 kids. So I am assuming that over the next week or two that we'll see that number go up as well. But as you see, this represents about 6170 parents that we heard from, so that's a pretty good number. We do have a few hundred that had told us they're not coming back, and then I'm sure there's a few hundred that haven't told us they're coming, so that's pretty normal. But I thought it was there's definitely an interest in our community for some online right now, as well as an interest for in-person, so our hope is that we can accommodate both. So with that, I'll take any additional questions that you have.
What about families that don't have Wi-Fi? Does the Chromebook, does it function without Wi-Fi?
No, they do need to have internet, and so for those families, we can give them the Chromebook and then we can hook them up. There are some services for low-income families where the internet is free, at least for the first 30 days. And T-Mobile,
So where do they go?
we have some links on our website, but our schools will reach out. So as we have, as school begins and students are picking up their materials, the families that don't come in or that we don't hear from, there will be a big outreach effort to call them and contact them and go to their house and see what they need. Sometimes it may be that they didn't know we opened. Sometimes it may be that they just don't have a device, and sometimes it may be that they do need help finding how can I get the internet. But we also
Are you gonna provide Wi-Fi for them, or what are you going to do? They can't afford Wi-Fi, they don't have it.
Yeah. At this time, I don't think we have plans to provide the Wi-Fi. I know there's some work across the city of Phoenix to look at, could the city of Phoenix provide Wi-Fi? I know Eddie went to a meeting, but he said it was complicated, so I'm not sure what the plan is there yet. But that will be an ongoing issue that we and everybody across the city looks at. There are some companies, I mean, Cox and T-Mobile do provide free, or T-Mobile, I think is free the first 30 days, and then it's $15 a month for internet. So that's the best we can do, is just give them the resources. But we'll also provide paper and pencil for families that need it. And as soon as the governor says we can open our doors, we'll invite them back in.
On the confirmation of commitment forms that will go out, I do think I'm surprised at how many are picking online when I hear about what's happening with other districts. Our numbers seem much higher for online. So I think it's important that parents understand that class sizes may look different for that, and that their teacher may change should they decide to go in person, and you may not have the same teacher all year long. I just wanna make sure that they understand that, and also I think they need to understand how many hours of synchronous potentially online that they're going to be, as well as the additional work, that it's not necessarily less time than the school day when they add in their individual work into that, as well as for AOI, that's a lot of independent work.
Yeah, yes, I think there's still a lot of parent education to come and information as we progress, and I think people are probably going to have a different idea of what online instruction looks like in Levine by the end of August than they had by the end of May, because it will look different and it will be more robust, but it will be better.
Yes, certainly, but I think we have an opportunity, if you're saying we're already gonna send out a confirmation of the commitment that they've made, that might be a good time to list some of those things
Yes,
for them, so
yes.
that they really do understand that.
There's no doubt that we're going to be changing, and we are working with our staff on that too. The reality of students and teachers who are assigned to each other August 3rd being tied together all the way till the end of May is not gonna happen for every student.
Likely.
It just can't. But thank you, we will. Thank you. Yes.
I have probably been just shy of harassing Dr. Sprout regarding my concern for teachers and staff coming back if they're not ready or if they're concerned about it. And also, I think I asked last time, I did not like his names, I apologize. If an in-person classroom with a child or somebody tests positive, then how are we gonna transition them immediately, I guess, to online? What will we be doing with an in-person classroom if someone tests positive?
Oh, when we're back in person? Yeah, I don't have all the answers for that yet. We are building this plane as we fly, and we get guidance every day, but we will certainly have procedures in place of what to do when that happens. So I don't know what day school is open and when we need to get to that juncture, but right now for this month, I know that everybody's online August 3rd, and we're planning a solid instructional program for that. But we have a lot of planning to do for when they come back and when some are back and some are home and how that works.
If there is one advantage to Governor Ducey's announcement last week, that we are all online, is that everybody will start the year online, understanding that system. So if we do have a situation where a teacher becomes ill or a student becomes ill, and under the guidance of local authorities is basically the wording that is out there right now, that we have to close down a classroom, that if it's due to a student being ill, we can move a classroom to online. So everybody will get a taste of online. And like I said, the advantage is that if we have to shut down a school or a classroom, that we will be able to go back into that mode, rather than, having on-person or in-person classroom trying to transition to online due to an event like that, or an entire campus. So, but we are monitoring the guidance on that situation, and there hasn't been a lot of explicit guidance as to, do you shut down a classroom, do you shut down an entire school, how long do you have to do it for if something like this happens. But we will, our staff and student safety is number one. And so we will, yeah, go ahead.
Liability wise, do we have any liability if, say, God forbid, a child were to catch it from someone else in the classroom?
I'm gonna go ahead and try that one, and Kevin, you can back me up on this, but we have a.
You too.
Yeah, you can back me up too, so let me see if I get this right. We have to be careful of gross negligence in the safety of our students, and know that we don't wanna get anywhere near gross negligence with respect to the safety of our staff and our students. And so, what the CDC says matters to us, what the county says, what the state says, and whatever, and by the way, those are three very different inputs. I haven't even looked yet today, but we had I do know, I watched a press conference from the governor. The Maricopa County also had a webinar today. And then CDC is being pressured to change some things as well. But know that we're watching all of those, and we'll take the route that is safe for our students and our staff. So.
That, I know that. Just.
And avoid a situation where we are held liable for ignoring common sense guidance, and we also know that there is a feasibility issue when you have students and people interacting right now in the midst of COVID. We cannot 100% do every single thing to keep people safe, but we will be maximizing the safety of our staff and our students.
I just, I'm thinking of people that are going to rallies and they're signing things that say that they won't hold the people responsible. Leading me to believe that should they catch it, they could hold them responsible. So if a teacher, if we ask them to come back to school, are we gonna, I just theoretically, I know that if we ask them to come back to school to do their job, are we putting ourselves somehow at that same risk? Or do they have to sign something? This is gonna drive me nuts.
Dr. Sprout had it correct, we're not,
It's the
so
gross.
long as we don't show any willful negligence or gross negligence, which we are far from doing.
Okay.
Everything we have put in place is far from doing that. However, anybody can sue anybody at any time
True.
for any reason in this state. So that doesn't mean that somebody may not attempt to bring forth a lawsuit, but we have, I think, our people are doing a wonderful job in ensuring that there is no willful or gross negligence on the part of the school district. And I would add too that there have been recent studies this week that show that children are really the least likely to be passing that to each other or to adults. And so probably one of the safest places is going to be schools. Additionally, when we, and I'm not doing a very good job, you all are, when we wear masks, I forgot, when we wear masks.
There are a bunch back
I
there.
have one in my purse, I'll put it on in a moment. When we have masks, we have doctors that tell us the reason that they don't contract that is because they are wearing masks, and so you don't see, our hospitals are one of the safest places as well. So long as we're wearing masks, which I believe we decided we are gonna require of students, then we're in pretty good shape.
Any other questions or comments? So I just have a couple of things to say. So Kathy, thank you for putting that together. I know that has been a question that I've heard from a lot of people in the community is how does the online look in comparison to, they've gotten a taste of it in the spring, but of course we've had actually some time now to really develop that and look at that. So the framework of that a little bit is definitely gonna help support, maybe give a little bit more comfort to some of our families. So thank you for putting that all together. And then just kind of thinking about this right now is, I think a lot of the families who have selected the flexible option are kind of on that cusp of, I really want to send my kids to school, but yet I'm just not so comfortable yet. And so I'm kind of wondering, we're still living in that unknown. And maybe something to consider could be taking that first quarter, when we all do start online, but then use that first quarter to make it more of that hybrid. So where we ease in, we all want to jump in and get ready and get back to it, which I think is key. We want our kids to get back. Kids need to be back together for that social emotional piece. But we also don't want to jump the gun either, possibly. So maybe to consider easing in kind of that hybrid piece, possibly a few days on that week and then the rest online as we transition into second quarter. So maybe something to consider that. Maybe the Australia campus is all in 5 days a week because they are very at a tight number of kids. So that might maybe help some of our other families as well as a possible idea. Maybe that'll help slow things down too and not cause any additional, calm some of that fear possibly. Just an idea maybe we could talk about.
I will just share that at our district, we've attempted to look at doing a hybrid. You probably need at least another 40 teachers to make that work, along with full in-person, along with online, along with distance learning. I don't think we can
Yes,
afford
I'm
140 more teachers.
Thank you for recognizing that. That is what kind of steered us away from, at first it sounds like a great idea, and then you're like, wait, we didn't get more teachers for all these options, and we still have the same number of teachers per kid. And then when we're trying to keep our in-person smaller, Well, we still have the same number of staff, and we didn't staff for 1 to 18, so that does mean that there's more kids online, but that's the puzzle that Mr. Thomas is going to solve for us.
It's not solved.
Well, and I'm not indicating necessarily, and I'm not necessarily indicating that you have hybrid all year, but that first quarter, every teacher is an online teacher. So after whenever Ducey says, okay, in person, then you can take that teacher who is currently doing online and now become an in-person, be in person for so many days, finish the rest of her classes that week with the online piece, because that's what they're doing. And then that allows that little bit of room.
It only works out if all the grades at all the schools line up correctly. Just like when you staff for the full year anyway, you think that this is what you'll have and you assign this many teachers, but sometimes you end up having to move, a teacher for a grade level because you end up with 30 more kids in 4th grade than you thought. I can show you a spreadsheet if you're that excited about it.
Well, I appreciate
Looking at
your-
different possibilities.
This is a year of flexible, outside the box thinking, and we know that the plan we have today is going to be tweaked and adjusted, and that we're unsure when we're going to open and what that's gonna look like, but I am certainly open to exploring any possibility that supports kids and teachers and learning and giving parents the comfort of being able to choose what's best for them.
I just wanna say I very much know how much work goes into all of this and all of the people that are involved and listening with an open mind to everything and repeating things over and over again until it sinks through in people's head because it's all very new for everyone, including probably your own head much of the time. So I think it's long days and waking up in the middle of the night and all of those types of things, and I very much appreciate the thoughtfulness to all of these pieces.
Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else? All right, thank you for your time, guys. Appreciate all you do.